Hey everybody, looks like I barely made it to tonight's live stream. This was a touch and go one. I was very busy editing a full-length video, so it sort of got the best of me, but I am finally here on this Wednesday with the fireworks in the background. I hope everyone's having a very good week so far. I'm just going to go very quickly, authorize the chat. It'll just be one quick moment as always. Let's see. Just got to put this in. And my password. And I should see if anyone's here. I don't know, it's July 3rd. I don't know how many people are actually going to be here. Understandable, vacations, fireworks, all that really fun stuff. So looks like nobody is here right now, which is all good. All right, so here we are. Let me just make sure I got a good view here. Maybe I can adjust the focus. It's not in focus, it's not going to be good either. So what I'm going to do, since nobody is actually watching right now, I'm going to very quickly check and see if I am actually online yet. There we are. Okay, let me lower the volume. So I do see that we have 2 people watching, and that's cool. Now let's go ahead and start. So basically I did a very rough drawing. Make sure the volume is totally off here, otherwise I'm going to get feedback. So I did a very rough drawing here, nothing too fancy. What we're going to do is we're going to take out our wonderful airbrush, the Extreme Patriot Arrow. I use this all the time. This is my workhorse. This is what I use all the time, literally. Let me fix this second camera so you can see the distance that I'm working from, which is a really good tool for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my airbrush right now. So while you're here, I think it's good to actually show you how I mix my initial lay-in ink. Oh, we put the artwork far away. So what I'm going to do is I use Speedball Super Black India ink. It's the best ink out there by far. Kicks Higgins' butt. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do 6 drops of the India ink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our ratio is going to be 6 to 21. I think that's a pretty good ratio because you have so much control over it. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 1 for good luck. Okay, so now we have a very thin diluted ink, and that's what we want because we're at a very low air pressure. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and load up our airbrush. There we go. You see, you can put a lot of ink in there, so this could pretty much last us through the live stream here. So let me go ahead and get the artwork. So there we are. Now before I even do that, you want to test out the airbrush. You don't want to do your initial sprays ever on your artwork. You want to do it on a test paper. So right here we have our test paper. And let's go ahead and do our test sprays here. See that, how it's really weird initially, because you never know when you clean it. You might not have put the needle in correctly or something like that. A lot of different variables could happen. So I'm just testing out dots, fading dots, dagger strokes, lines, seeing it's responding correctly, needle's not bent, you know, all different things that could have happened between the time that you painted last and now. So as you can see, I could very quickly work. It's doing everything I wanted to do. So we're good. We're ready to go. And let's go ahead and let's start getting busy with this. So let's see, do we have authorization? We do have YouTube chat authorization, just nobody is chatting. It's all good, no problem. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on some larger areas. And what I'm going to do is just map out the hair from the forehead on this shadow area. I think that will go a long way in helping to find this piece. Always wipe off your freehand shield before going back in. So right now you see I'm using it to wipe the freehand shield on a shirt you don't care about. Don't paint in a tuxedo, that's always bad. So where is everybody? It is Wednesday night, right? Okay. Alright, so now over here in the initial drawing I did miss some areas in the projection. So we are going to go ahead and work on that. So we are still all right, cool. So before you go in with the airbrush, you just want to make sure that everything is drawn correctly. You don't want to make a mistake in the early going, so being a little careful in the drawing is always good for you. Let me put on this glove here. Now this glove is going to help me keep me from smudging and putting my oils on the paper. Sounds like thunder outside. It's actually fireworks here in the United States. Now, as far as the eye goes, a good way to make sure that your eye is not too big or too small is always check it against the other eye as far as circumference and everything. Go. So I am feeling a lot stronger about this eye right now. Okay, so I did change the microphones. The sound should be better at this point. Alright, so let's go ahead and work on some of the contours first. And in the shadow side, we'll do the contours by doing the negative spaces adjacent to it. It would be akin to, let's say, if you are putting a puzzle together, putting the pieces around the main area to find out where those pieces lie. So you don't want to just go this way, because if you just go one direction, you can get a mannerism, meaning that you're not going to be drawing what you see. So you go this way, and then you go this way. And this is how you get a better idea. So, because everything is drawing. Angela says that painting is about 85% drawing, and I think that's so true. We're talking about good painting here. So definitely hone in on your drawing skills. It's not a badge of honor to say that you don't draw or you never draw and you're an airbrush artist. That's not a badge of honor. It will hurt your artwork. So drawing is so important. And I always want my work to be the best, so that's why I draw. I want my work to be the most profound it can possibly be. So you want beautiful lines. So when you're working and if you see a line that's kind of shaky, go ahead and make it beautiful. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit some of these negative space areas. Remember, perpendicular to the freehand shield most of the time. Alright, let's work on some of this area here. So if anyone's out there, just do me a favor and just, say hello, or it sounds good. Just let me know you're here. This way I know I have an audience. I appreciate that. Well, right now we are working perpendicular to the freehand shield. So I don't want to go here because I'm going to come in with white, and I don't want to contaminate it, because you can't put the white over black. You can put black or gray over white, but not vice versa. So here is not white. This is all shadow. Here is white. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the Extreme Patriot away for a second. And we're going to do something different. We're going to actually go ahead and use a different white today. And let's see. So here we go. We are going to use Drew Blair's. Drew Blair's is a great guy. I really enjoy talking to Drew, and I talked to Drew over the weekend. And so we had some questions about what's the best way to reduce his Create text. This is the illustration colors. This is optimized for use with Drew Blair's color buffer system. Now Drew, actually helped develop this, so that's why I definitely like it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put a healthy amount of Drew's paint there. And this is a reducer. He said this would be the best reducer, so with that said, I am going to listen to him. So this is 5091 illustration reducer. My channel is always growing. I'm always trying to do new things. I am somebody who has a growth mindset, so if you look at my technique from one year to the next, it grows. It doesn't change, but it grows. So we still want to get this to the consistency of skim milk. So you see that? Maybe just a little bit more. Okay, so, and that's with his reducer. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get the other airbrush I'm going to be working with. So today I want to be working with this particular airbrush, which is the Badger Velocity, and it's a Renegade. So let me go ahead and fire this up. Now, with this one, I have the Mac valve, which is not an Iwata Mac valve. This is a Mac valve that's actually on the hose. See that? So now what I'm going to do is I need this cap, because since I'm painting horizontally to see you guys, or I should say horizontally, correct, that there's a chance for the paint to spill or ink to spill out, and don't want to do that. So I'm just going to clean this out. An ounce of prevention goes a long way. I have a lot of experience of near disasters with not having the cap on, so definitely heed my advice on this one if you're smart. So I'm just going to go ahead and load up my velocity. It's a very thin mixture. And I'm just going to go ahead and cover this up. Before I bring Emma back, let's go ahead and do some tests and make sure that it is spraying correctly. I want to lower the air pressure. It feels a little funny, so I am going to make sure that the needle is sitting correctly. Okay, a little tight. Okay, now it feels better. Now what's interesting about this, and you'll see, when applying the white, you'll see that the white shows up maybe 2 seconds after. So be patient when you put the white on. So if you don't see it, just don't keep doing it. You'll be putting too much white on the surface. Still nobody, huh? This is very interesting. Very weird. I guess it's the 4th of July weekend, I don't know. But I knew nobody was coming, I wouldn't have done it. Let's see. So let's go ahead. Now what we got to do is sort of plow the field, right? You want to make sure that you get any of this superfluous pencil strokes. You want to make them as light as possible. You don't want pencil strokes trapped underneath the white. So with that being said, you want to make sure that you calm that down. I'm using a kneaded eraser for that. Alright, now let's go ahead and with our velocity we are going to start the process. So you let that go, right? You're going to realize that it's going to take a minute for that white to show up. Now, one of the things that I'm finding with this particular white is that it actually works better with erasing than the other inks that I've been using. Like I said, my work is going to constantly evolve. So this technique will constantly evolve. Give it a second to dry. When it dries, you'll see that it will go ahead and the white will show up. I'm going to do a quick test to make sure chat's working. It's like I hear crickets. Let's see. Let's see if that shows up. And okay, so nobody is here. So it's good to use the freehand shield. Just remember to give it a second to dry. The white will show up full force. Cover up that graphite. It's a much better time with this illustration white here by Drew Blair. It seems to work best with this technique. I'm very happy with it so far. Let it catch up to the surface. You do see some light here in her fingers. Great control you have with the white. Definitely a game changer. Whenever I go ahead and recommend a product, it's because it's the best product. It's not because of any product loyalty or anything. So if I choose a company to endorse, it's the best product for my technique. So with that being said, so for me to go ahead and say Drew's illustration white is the best for my technique, that's because it is the best for my technique. And so, you know, I'm giving you my honest, not opinion, my honest findings. Big difference. There's a definite blast of light here. So let's calm this down right here. I am really surprised no one's shown up. It's like, what time is it now? It's already 10 o'clock. Wow. So right here we have an adjacent dark right next to the white. Okay. Now, freehand shield is going to be very important because you want to make sure that you keep your edges sharp when they are sharp. And the only way to do that is with the freehand shield. Going perpendicular, giving it time to catch up to the surface. Same thing here. Perpendicular, not parallel. Parallel is fine once in a blue moon if that's what it needs to be. So the real test, and what I didn't like about the India inks when it came into white, was the fact that it didn't erase, and when it didn't erase, the white, the pencil lines got trapped underneath. So let's go ahead and see if it does erase and you're able to kill some of those pencil lines. Look at that. It's just the best for this technique, because you're able to get rid of the white and then remove the pencil lines. So the breakthrough here is amazing. It's ironic nobody is here to see it, but that's the way it works out sometimes. But this is definitely a breakthrough moment. Thank you, Drew Blair, for helping me. I had sort of that moment of, what about, what's the best way to mix it? Is it water? What reducer? And Drew was gracious enough to answer my message, and so I'm very thankful to Drew. So I dedicate this live stream to you, Drew Blair, even though no one's watching. Sorry, Drew. So right here, you see, it's just a very ugly line. So we got to beautify that line. Keep your lines beautiful, like handwriting, right? Beautiful, strong line in handwriting goes a long way. So you see, I don't even have to worry about erasing pencil lines. So that's pretty exciting. So I do see we have a healthy live stream going. Let me go ahead and just see how it sounds. So I'm going to raise the volume on my TV. See how it sounds. So I'm going to raise the volume on my TV. Sounds pretty good. So, all right. We have the air conditioner going because it is hot out here in July. So let's go ahead and work on her beautiful arm here. Sure we don't have tip dry. So from now on, this is going to be the white ink, or the white I'm using. Hey Joe, how you doing, my friend? They all left me. I don't see anyone here. How you been? Today's kind of a breakthrough here, so I'm glad you're here. Something very, very new and exciting with this technique today. So what we're doing right now, Joe, is we're working on the white, and because we want to establish the white. Remember, you can't put white over ink, but you can put ink over white, no problem. Because there's this weird blue shift that happens, and it's really horrible and ugly. So you definitely don't want that. And so what I've been seeing is that, I talked to Drew Blair over the weekend, and I was discussing, I was interested to see what the effects would be of his Createx illustration color white with this technique. Will it erase? Would it erase better than Bombay's White India ink? So we went ahead and I asked him what was the best reducer, and he said the best reducer for making it erase would be the 5091 illustration reducer. I do save the whites in, let's say, here at the end, but we're talking about the large area white, sort of creating a bas relief right now. So since we have the tinted paper, creating the large area of whites really helps us. But when you're talking about like the whites in the eyes and everything, that we save. Highlights we save. But right now we're working on the larger forms. So now the problem was before, when we were using the inks, that the whites would not erase. So what would happen is, with the whites not erasing, is the pencil lines would get trapped underneath, and that was no good. Now, since we do have this, we don't have to worry about the pencil line being trapped underneath. See, over here, we have this reflected light. I'm not going to bother with the reflected light. That we can do with pastel. But this area right here, we can do this really sort of smooth area of large white. It's best to do it early going with the airbrush. And we don't have to worry about the airbrush. We don't have to worry about the white being trapped. We don't have to worry about the white actually trapping the pencil lines with Drew's paint. It really is a breakthrough moment. Sort of one of those moments where, all of a sudden you're like, what if I do this? What happens? Okay, so this is a shadow area, but Still, let's go ahead and make that line beautiful. Yes, definitely. I'm spraying the illustration white right now. But notice how the white just erases really beautifully. So we don't have to worry about the pencil lines getting trapped underneath the white as we did before with Bombay's White India ink by P.H. Martin. Doesn't mean we don't have to be a little careful with the pencil lines underneath. We still want to be economical. I don't always, oh no, definitely don't always use black. A lot of the paintings, and almost all of them, I'll always start doing the light areas with the white first. That's usually after the careful line drawing is the normal steps of the technique is to go ahead and take care of the large areas of white. Sort of like a sculptor, you know, getting the large darks and the large light areas, pulling it from, so this way the background falls back. Makes a big difference. Like anything else with technique, Joe, I never want to just be pigeonholed with my technique. I always want to grow. Now look at this for some reason. Let me see. Okay, see this? This is something you always got to worry about. It really does. Tip dry and a lot of other issues. But I think that the pros outweigh the cons. So let me go see what's happening here. Okay, so you do get tip dry, of course. I believe I did in the very early going in episode 1. If you go back, I'm pretty sure I went in with the white. You know, like I don't just do it one way. There are times where I just might not do it. But this is always a good, first step. Make sure I still have some white. I don't. Let's go ahead and add some more. I'm almost done with the white for this. And now I'm going to go in with my 6-20 mixture. Never, when you reload, never ever, yes, so definitely catch the first couple because that will really help. Never ever do your first shots on your artwork when you reload a color or ink or anything. Try that off before I put my artwork on there. Okay. Alright, so back to here. So what we're doing is basically almost like bringing things forward, pushing things back with this white. One of the things, I had a very traditional art school education in New York. So I studied for 8 years, all the way from an art high school to some university, to studio work with some famous artists. And it took me years to get away from uh, doing things my teacher's way and realizing that there is no right way or wrong way, that you don't want to be pigeonholed into one set technique because it will limit your work. And your work will basically not grow. You don't want the paintings to look the same year after year. You want to have some sort of development. Now, like I said before, Joe, in earlier episodes, I paint approximately 6 hours a day, sometimes 10, and it's really good because I start to question the way things are going. If I only work, let's say, 3 hours a day, I would not have the ability to innovate or to change the technique or figure out if it's better. So that's why you always want to learn from artists who are doing it, rather than just teaching theory. Theory is important, don't get me wrong, but theory without lab work really doesn't work. Yes. So, Joe, you said Blake McCulley, cross-eyed. Yes, that guy is very talented. I did his. I actually bought his uh, wolf video years ago when I first started airbrushing, and so he lived 15 minutes from Airbrush Action Magazine when they were in business. Oh yeah, that's down in like uh, it's Avondale or something like that in central Jersey, right? Oh, Vince Goodeve. Yeah, he's been around a long time. Yeah, those are the old timers. I wouldn't say old timers, but those are the veterans. Yeah, I'm from Jersey too, as you know, Joe. I'm up here in Little Ferry. Now, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to, on purpose, go over some of this pencil, right? And, oh, Barnegat, okay, that's definitely south, right? That's by the Pine Barrens, if I'm not mistaken. My Jersey trivia is a little off. But look at this, Joe. Look at how I'm able to erase. Something I was not able to do before. So definitely a breakthrough moment, and I'm glad somebody was here to see it. So right here, once again, I said I overshot. So I'm just going to see if I'm able to erase. But look at this. This is really beautiful. This is definitely breakthrough moment. Oh, great. Fantastic. So I do know some New Jersey trivia. Well, I used to know a girl who lived in Forked River. Are you near there? So right here we have some really soft edges. I'm going to be playing a lot with the aperture, a lot like a camera does. Alright, so very happy so far. So this is good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a moment to clean this out because I think I'm done with the white. Let me just double check. Oh, my favorite airbrush girl. As far as female airbrush artists, I do love the work of Kiva. She's just amazing, and Marissa, right? Marissa's just, incredible. Uh, so we're gonna see how. Oh, favorite airbrush girl? That's her name? Oh, interesting. So, once again, I'm just, so far, I'm very happy with the way the white is working here. Drew Blair's Illustration White. I am on Instagram, Joe. Painted Glyphs. So I'm pretty confident I could go ahead and be much more bold with my white application than I ever was before. But we'll see. This is sort of an experiment as well. Now, is this the young lady who is with Air Oil and who is with Steve Gibson? Oh, Painted Glyphs? So a lot like my name on Facebook is painted and then glyphs together. Like hieroglyphs, but painted glyphs. Okay, so what we'll do is I'm going to take one quick moment to go ahead and yeah, I know that young lady. I don't know her personally, but I do see her work. She's very good. Give me one moment. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this. I don't want the white to be sitting in there. I'm maniacal about clean airbrushes. Be right back. Okay, I am, yes, exactly, Joe. White sitting in the airbrush is a disaster. If you want your airbrushes to still be around and work correctly, you can't do what a lot of people do is just, I just seen disasters and, I think the best thing that any airbrush could do to boost up their skill level is to keep a clean airbrush. So simple, yet it's so important. Yes, I did hear that they did. They both are running a T-shirt in Ocean City, New Jersey. Yeah, T-shirt booth. It's very lucrative, that's for sure. So I'm just going to make sure that this is clean before. Of course, I'll deep clean it. So as you can see here, just with a Q-tip, just getting rid of some of the white in there. Now you make sure you get Q-tips that don't leave fibers. You don't go crazy. Okay, we'll blow this out. Okay. And then I'm going to keep some water in it, so later I can go back in. So you want to keep water in if you're not going to clean it, you know, like really deep cleaning for, like for me, for the next hour. So I'm going to leave this part over here. Now I only have one cap, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this cap is really clean. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of bottom feed because I'm such a small, detail-oriented artist, and you know, it takes a lot more air pressure to get the paint to siphon out of the bottom feed. So gravity feed is the best, and even better than side feeds. So I'm always thinking about advantages and the ability to have better control. Alright, so I'm going back with my Extreme Patriot Arrow with the 6:21 ratio. Let me dry this because I don't want to put my paper on wet. Okay, so you actually pulled my needle back and ran a calf, the liner, a Kafka, the liner broke through the nozzle? Oh, wow. Okay, so now what we can do is we could start with some deeper tones here. So with this very diluted mixture, I have extra control in the early going. You're sketching in the early going, so you don't want to make, you know, any like really strong decisions at this point. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to start hitting the darkest areas and then just relatively establish them. And they're very light, but you know, compared to everything else, they're going to look very dark, you know. Little dagger strokes. That's all it is. The good thing about this Speedball Super Black India ink is that it does trap the pencil line. It doesn't trap the pencil, so you're able to go ahead and erase once you lay down the tone. By staying perpendicular and not parallel, you're going to get clean lines, clean shapes. So Joe says, when I paint helmets, I draw on them and then I clear coat them so I don't have to worry about the pencil lines. Very cool. That's a good idea. So right here we have some soft gradations here. So I want you to keep looking for some really good shapes to help describe your contour. So that's a very important shape right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and hit this value area. I'm going to let it dry, and then we're going to see how the erasing works. So far, using Drew's white here is a dream. As you can see how we are basically developing something very nicely. It's sort of, we're not just doing an eye and another eye and a nose, we are making a painting. It's almost like we're building a sculpture in a sense, am I right? So let me go ahead and clean this. You know, neat erasers you can clean. So I'm making a full length, about 5-hour video from beginning to end. It's very exciting. I'm going to be selling it online. It's going to be a lot less than other how-to videos. It's the only video that's actually teaching my technique, which is very exciting. So Joe, this is the how-to. It's going to be how to do this from the very beginning. I videotaped it all the way to the end using this India ink technique. It's the same paper as I'm using here, and it's just very exciting. So this is going to be a wonderful how-to, going over all of the materials step by step, from the drawing to the color. I mean, from the drawing to the initial layers of the white, just like we did here. Really fantastic. So look for that. The price is going to be very low, And so I'm excited. I say it would be available hopefully in 2 weeks. So it's going to be very comprehensive. All right, so let's go ahead and do what we said we were going to do. Let's see if those pencil lines are going to pull up. If they do, it is unbelievable. Wow. That's all I have to say. Wow. Wow. So this is pretty cool. Just pull that down. Go. So we are going, so it's 10:30. That means I always have to go ahead and reauthorize the chat. So let me go ahead and do that, Joe. My only audience member today. I appreciate it, Joe, a lot. So thank you so much for showing up. Means a lot to me, man. Okay. Okay, there you are, Joe. And Joe says, can you spray 100? Can you spray SG 100 over the pencil lines? That I couldn't tell you, Joe. That's for sure. Unfortunately, but thank you so much for following on Instagram. I'm going to follow you back. So that's really cool. So thank you for that. So this is a really cool breakthrough here, so I'm pretty happy. So let's go ahead and deepen that shadow here. Same thing here, we can deepen some of these shadows. We can remove some. Always make sure, Joe, that before you erase, whether it be the white or the India ink, no matter what dilution, make sure that it is dry before you erase it, because it will cause problems. Yeah, so today I've been working on that particular video, the 5-hour video. So I just did the introduction. That took like 9 hours. Just because you want it to be professional, you know, I want it to be something that's really special and just a great value. Now, back when I did that, the technique was a little bit different, so I have to make sure that I'm being true to how I painted it. I could always go ahead and change it up, but that wouldn't be honest, and honesty is always important to me. So we're going to work on her mouth here. And as you can see in the beginning, I'm moving around a lot, Joe. Oh, cool. Yeah. On TV or near your house, Joe? Oh, okay. So tonight everyone's watching fireworks. That's true. Yeah, that's true, Joe. It's cool. I always say whoever's meant to be at my live stream are at my live stream. You know, Joe, I would do it if only one person shows up every week because it's just something that, I love and believe in. Now, what's interesting here is that we have a linear line here, but then when we come up here, it sort of goes away. There's not a border here, so uh, that's very important to get the impression of her. Now on here, on this side of her cheek, it's rather soft edged, but it is slightly darker when we go down to, so we want to make sure we get that soft edge, and we're going to go ahead and erase that. So we're looking at relative value, but we're also looking at hard and soft edges, because if we put a hard edge where it's soft, vice versa, or degrees of softness are not there, it's really going to hurt the impression. And the great thing about us as artists, we can make it softer if we want. If we want to emphasize it, we can go ahead and perhaps raise the contrast of one value next to another to direct the eye. Raise the contrast as well as harden the edges. So we do have a soft blur between this value here and over there. Yes, definitely. I agree, Joe. I think it's so important to move around. I was taught that, at the National Academy, and also studying with some really great artists at the High School of Art and Design, traditional painters from life, and they always say move around. She has like a little cute little ball at the end of her nose, and I just want to make sure that I indicate that. And Joe says, I do not like changing the colors in my airbrush. Joe says he doesn't know how people will do one section of a painting, then move on only to change colors 1 million times. Yeah, that's rough, right? I think, when I work in color, I definitely have several airbrushes going, for my mid-tone areas, one for my darks and one for my lights, so I can pretty much move around. So that helps me. Otherwise, because to just work in one value and then make a color change, yeah, it's a big deal. So I'm not getting caught up in how it looks in any way, shape, or form. So I'm keeping it very loose right now, making very general decisions, Joe. Now this right here is her blouse, so we have a very hard edge here. So I just want to go ahead and indicate this. Now relative value is going to be much darker at the end, but we're just getting relative value right now. So tomorrow's the 4th of July, right? I can't believe it. Wasn't it just summer? I mean, wasn't it just Christmas not too long ago, Joe? I feel as I get older, time is really running away from me. Now, Drew basically, Drew's been doing airbrush. Unbelievable how much experience he has. So, and he's on his own level. He's on a level, far beyond me in airbrush. So, anything he does, he can do his own thing because, he's mastered that technique. So in the 80s when I was doing pastels and oil paints, he was airbrushing and innovating back then. So I definitely got to give him respect. But this live stream is dedicated to him and him helping me. We're actually featuring his illustration white. Not because of any sponsorship, but because it's really the best for this technique right now. Until I find something better. And I'm always looking for something better, Joe. But look how beautiful this is turning out here. Okay, so now we have the forearm here, and that's coming forward behind the upper arm here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that, again, we're going to make sure that this contour is nice. I don't like this pencil line here. Let's kill that. You can see we already are getting a likeness. It's always Christmas, that's right. Remember Crazy Eddie's, Joe? You're from Jersey, so remember that? His insane Christmas in July sale. He had the Christmas hat. Remember that? That was pretty cool. So, Joe, I was born in 1966. Are you around my age? Or are you a young guy? Or an old guy like me? The freehand shields are probably one of the most important things in airbrush to master. So Joe, I am planning on doing a late July, early August 3-day workshop here in Verona, New Jersey at the classroom of Hobby Lobby. It'll be $250. It'll be 3 days. It'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it'll be $250. You just bring your own airbrush and we'll go over two projects. One will be a portrait and another one will be a female nude. So that's something that I'm doing. If you are, if you're thinking of doing that, let me know. The class size is going to be limited to 10. I'm probably going to do it 3 times a year with the airbrush. I just have to get the okay from the managers for the compressor. So that's what I'm waiting for to make those dates solid. And I'm constantly refining the lines, Joe, because the contours are going to be everything. Remember, you go this way and you go that way. This way, you go both ways. You meet at the middle. You won't get mannerisms. By going perpendicular, you're not going to get in trouble by spraying too far over. There we go. Oh, okay. You're a little younger than me, so we're the same generation there, Joe. That's cool. Both Jersey boys, grew up in the 80s, right? I went for a semester to Glassboro State, which is now changed names like, 10 times? Now it's Rowan. So, you grew up in Jersey as well? So you see, by making sure that we get this dark, we're helping to find this area here. So it's all about edges. Same thing here. If we go ahead and darken this area, we're going to define this edge over here. And then little by little, we're going to go ahead and refine those edges. How many hours a day? Oh, that's going to be 8 hours a day, up to 8 hours a day working. So, and that's instruction, that's, you guys could watch me while you're working. I can come by, answer questions. I think anyone would leave there would have a real solid grasp on this technique, which to me is the perfect marriage between drawing and painting. And it really brings the airbrush to life, little tip dry, not as much tip dry, just so much more control. And I'll go over, some of my maintenance techniques and stuff like that. And just, I think it would really be informative. I would like to be a class that I would like to go to. Okay, so here we have the shirt again. So we're going to work going perpendicular. See that? So when I was trained, pretty much you wanted to do a poster. Whether working in color or working in black and white like this, you want to do a poster. And that's basically what you want to do when you're working in pastel, oil. It's no difference than with airbrush. you want to have that poster look, so then you can go in with detail. But you have the main shapes all down. So you sort of like building a, one of those skyscrapers. The shapes there first, and then all the adornments go after that. All the details. Oh, cool. So Jersey all your life. Very cool. I moved away for a while, came back. Everyone comes back to Jersey, right? Once you thought you were out, they pull you back in. Okay, so let's go ahead and just reiterate this contour here. There we go. And let's work on this contour over here. So Joe, what's your favorite subject matter with Airbrush? Is it portraits? So I'm going to let that dry before I put this freehand shield over it. And right here we have a really dark over here. So let's go ahead and we don't have to worry about here because we already have the dark contour set up. But up here we do have to worry. So we just make sure that we are working on our edges, paying attention. So right here we have a very strong edge we have to hit. You definitely don't want to be using different freehand shields. You want at least amount of is a class for medium to advanced artists? Yes, Joe, but not limited. It could also be for a beginner. I could definitely teach some beginning techniques. So it isn't just for advanced, but we definitely can get as advanced as possible. Whatever someone feels comfortable with, that's the project we'll work on. One of the beginning projects could be something as simple as let's say a skull. So definitely is going to be something that the artist is going to learn from, the student's going to learn from, and also just really be edified and inspired and just come away with a lot of knowledge, not just for airbrushing, but also for knowing how to see, knowing what to look for when painting. A lot of the principles that I learned, going to the academy. So as you can see in just this very, very early stage, we are really getting some really good mapping out, which I do love. Okay, so right here on the bottom here, we have her shirt, which will, so painting in that shirt, we're going to define her arm. See that, see how that just, if you want to define the arm, is not necessarily painting the arm, but painting what's around it. So mostly paint motorcycles, so skulls and flames, very cool. One thing about the class with me is that my technique will really help with control. So at any level, the amount of control that one would get, studying with me would really be beneficial. See, right there was a real problem. Right there, so that was a real no-no. So let's see if I'm able to fix it. First thing I'm going to do is let that dry. And as you can see, what I did was the freehand shield here has that hole in it, and I sprayed it. So I let it dry, and then I'm just going to see if I could erase it. And it will erase, but that's something that we have to work on down the line. Now what I could do, it is dry, is I can compensate with white pastel here and take care of that. So it's good to make mistakes to show the student how to fix those mistakes. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue here. And once we do value around that, we'll see that will actually disappear. The thing is, when you make a mistake, just as like that, it's good. I want you to always take a mental note of that mistake so you don't do it again. And also step back and figure out how you're going to handle it. Don't get emotional about it. So Joe says, the reason why I ask about the class, I once took a class and the beginners eat up way too much time asking basic questions that you can find any on YouTube, in my opinion. If you don't, how to take your needle out, I don't want to be interrupting my time, of course. I think the best thing to do is I'm keeping the class size down to 10. I don't expect all 10 people to sign up. So I would have a lot of one-on-one time. It would probably be one of the best classes anyone has taken, because I do have a lot of teaching experience, and I know what's too much time to give a student and what's too little time. You can give a student too much attention, and then they're really not learning. So yeah, so keeping it down to 10, Joe, is really, really important. So it's a very light value right here. Very light. And it does seem dark, but it isn't, because everything else is light here. The further away is the lighter it will be. Remember, in the shadow areas of the portrait, the details are like whispers. In the light areas, the details are like shouts. Meaning the contrast of values are much greater in the light area than they are in the shadow area. There are details in the shadow area, but they are much closer in value. Yeah, definitely, Joe. The small class size is key. I don't want to have a huge class size, being money is my motivation. My motivation is to give a class that students are going to come away with just edified and really excited about their airbrush. And I'm going to be excited about what they do afterwards. So let's go ahead and see how beautifully the pencil lines go away, Joe. Look at this. When you erase the pencil lines, make sure that you're ready for them to go away, because you don't want to lose some really hard work you did with your drawing. But the pencil lines are really going away very well, and just leaving the ink. So if you were going to do this for an underpainting of, let's say, a full colored acrylic, it would be perfect. Because you would have your values all set up. Now the glove is not for carpal tunnel, but it does keep the oil from my hands off the artwork. This is from my Huion tablet, which is a graphics tablet. but I use it all the time. I just really love the way the pencil lines is just erasing. Definitely a breakthrough. It's kind of ironic when we have a breakthrough on this technique. No one's here. Right? Like when a UFO, no one's there except that one guy. Just be careful of this little hole here when you're spraying, because you'll get here and you'll actually get that shape. So don't want that to happen. Let's work on this shadow area here. Hey Gloria, how you doing? How's everything? I know it's only 10:13 where you are now. I miss ya. Everything's so quiet without you guys. So Gloria is my friend and my neighbor. And so that's pretty cool. Gloria Joe's also from Jersey? He's from South Jersey, Barnegat, right? I believe you said? Born and raised Jersey boy, just like myself. Thanks, Gloria. How are you kids doing? Oh, Joe said he would love to see a time lapse. I have several on this YouTube channel, time lapse. I have one. I think I have 3 time lapse, which would be really quite interesting for you, Joe. So check them out. It's actually a playlist on just time lapse. One on Sheryl Sandberg, CEO of Facebook. I did a nude, male nude, female nude of just a leg, and so definitely check them out. I think you'll really love them, Joe. So how's life over there in Wisconsin, there, Gloria? The fireworks are still going crazy here in Jersey. I hear them. Do you hear them by you, Joe and Gloria? So always refine as you go. It's always the best way. Oh, yes. We're spoiled out here in Jersey with fast internet. Now right here, we have this hand here, which stands out from the dark here, but still has a value and an edge. So we want to make sure that we establish the edge right here. Here we have some dark edges, some dark accents from the curl, the sort of the wrinkles in or turning areas of her hand with her fingers. Yes, it really is. The humidity has been crazy lately. So in Wisconsin, you guys too, huh? Oh boy. Can't escape it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that the drawing is correct, because I'm going to commit with the airbrush in just a second with this eye. I'm going to check the negative space, that area right there, negative space here, and I can see I might have been a little bit overzealous on this side. Better to go smaller than too big. Can always fix it. You can always make it bigger, but making it smaller is going to be far harder, far more difficult. Oh, no problem. That's fine, Joe. No, definitely. I'm always here to answer questions, and I definitely don't take advantage. I never take for granted that, everyone knows all my videos. So I'm glad you let me know, Joe. So I have over 203, I think I have 203 videos. So you have quite a variety of stuff to check out. Which is cool. And if you have any questions, I'm always here for you, sir. So, Gloria, how's your phone been holding up there? Okay, so I'm going to just one more ounce of prevention here. I'm just going to make sure I'm happy with the shape of this eye. Because the the angles really have to be 100, you know? They have to be 100%. Otherwise, you can just lose the likeness very quickly. Go. That's going to seem very dark. When we come lighter, it's really going to bring things around. You don't want to oversaturate the surface, so you let things, you let it catch up to this. You don't want it to pool up. So we got plenty of time to come in there. So make sure we don't get overzealous. Good distance away. Keep things from getting too dark, too soon. So distance is very important. Low air pressure, diluted ink, and distance. And those are things that are really going to make a big difference for control. I find a lot of the airbrush teachers out there don't talk about control too much on their YouTube channels. Oh, my pleasure, Joe. So we're doing just very small dagger strokes here. We want to control everything and gradually get the values and shape we want. We're not in any rush, you know, Joe and Gloria? And we can refine the shapes as we go. Now this area is going to look really dark, but it really isn't. It's just everything else is so light. So, keep that in mind. Let me go ahead and make sure that the areas are dry, but we're going to go ahead and start to erase some areas to set up some midtones, stuff like that. So it's really beautiful here how we actually have it so the lip actually sort of blends in with the shadow plane here on the shadow side of the face, which is very nice. Granted, yes, it's airbrushing, but it's very advanced painting here. Now, she has a very interesting mouth, so we want to even accentuate what's going on with her mouth, and I think that will help get her likeness. My teacher, Harvey Dinnerstein, said that if you want to really get a likeness to somebody, is you find out what makes them special and amplify that in your portrait, and you'll get their character that way, and I believe that to a certain extent. Oh, thanks, Joe. Joe says it's starting to look like something. I appreciate that. It's coming together, right? Little by little, and we're not in a rush. So these usually last five installments, 5 live streams per portrait. So we definitely are not in a rush. See, far away, I increase my distance, I can actually go ahead and get some nice soft edges, some smooth gradations. So Joe and Gloria, thanks for being my lone audience members today. Like I said, whoever's at my live stream are meant to be here. So I really appreciate that very much. So this is part 1 of Emma Watson. I really love this pose. I really love the ink. Thank you, Drew Blair, for letting me know about your Createx illustration colors. The paints for your color buffer method, which I'm not doing the color buffer method, but with this reducer, 5091 illustration reducer, we're able to actually raise the bar of what we were doing before using the India ink. So very cool. So I like that. This is still a good technique. This is just an evolution, so to speak. But guys, it's 11:30. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything, Joe and Gloria. I hope you guys have a great 4th of July and stay safe. Stay away from the firecrackers. Take care of yourselves, guys.